Is everyone? I know you're not answering, but you can answer if you want.
We're saying hi anyway. Oh, good to be back and having a chat. As we were just saying, does not feel like 2 weeks ago. But hey, life is moving forward very fast. And I think that's actually a really cool little lead into this topic.
Well, yeah, I think it's going to lead into a lack of balance, and so what I wanted to title today was no time for me time.
And
And
I couldn't help but put my gif of what's this nonsense? Having me time. What the?
Okay, so I've been preaching for years to my clients or anybody, you got to put yourself first. The whole airplane metaphor, the mask comes down. If you don't take care of yourself, everyone knows that metaphor, right? But there's validity to it. If you are spent and not focused on taking care of yourself, you can't do a really good job of taking care of others. So just there's not enough energy in the bank or the system in order to take care of anybody else. And I've noticed lately that I don't think it's my priorities that have shifted, but it just feels like my me time is getting squeezed out. So this new work schedule adds a lot to my day, and then to get ready for the next day, so I'm not spending a bunch of money on lunch and whatnot, I'm doing like preparation for food the next day, and dishes and cleanup, and still all the other stuff that has to happen or had to happen before I had the new job. It just squeezes the amount of time that I have for anything else. And it just seems like more activities are kind of coming into the system. My son just started soccer. Of course, I wasn't ready for that. So there's another 2 hours gone on a night that I didn't have time to begin with. I've noticed my workouts, I'm feeling guilty to an extent around, like, oh, I've got those other things. I got the garden to do. I got the kid to take care of. I've got to do this. I got to do that. Do I really have time for that? And then feeling bad about taking that time for me to do it. And it's actually put me in an interesting place because I'm thinking more about the kinds of people who I've served in the past who would say, like, I always take care of everybody first. And I don't have time for me. So it's helping me relate a little bit better to where they're at, because I've been out of this job thing for 8 years or something like that. Like it's a while now. So it's making me relate better to them. But I think I've come up with maybe some ideas on how I can maybe start looking at this a little bit differently, maybe being a little bit more creative with it, maybe setting different intentions around it, because if I don't, this imbalance will have a detrimental impact on me and on those who are around me.
Yeah, so I'm hearing you like in everything you're saying, I'm hearing the squeeze, like everything's squeezing in, and it's gonna it's gonna get too tight to cope with soon, because all
Are you
that
talking about my
time
pants? Like it's gonna get too tight in my pants? My shirt?
No.
Okay.
So I thought I'd share where I'm at with this, because I'm pretty good at making sure I build in me time. I allocate time in the morning to do some me time. I get to the gym. I've just started increasing that to 5 times a week. So I'm building that in, and I'm removing some of the excuses around not getting to the gym. So I managed to go to the gym before today, which is not something I usually do. I've normally gone, oh, well, if I've got Facebook Live on, oh, well, I won't go to the gym in the morning then. Well, no, I just got up and went a bit earlier. Funny that. So I'm making some deliberate choices. However, you did ask me how my week has been. And one of the ways that I would describe it, particularly yesterday, is hectic. And even though I have complete flexibility and complete control of the calendar in my life, and what I choose to accept in my day, I still manage to have a hectic day.
Mm.
And that's only on me. And what I found that I experienced yesterday was I had to move. I had reasonable buffers. I had like a 15, 20-minute buffer between everything, which is pretty okay. Like that's not bad in my world. However, I didn't mentally stop.
Mm.
And so it highlighted for me that time for like the me time isn't always about doing a meditation or going to the gym. For yesterday, it was actually also me mentally just closing down from being responsible for everybody else, or having obligations, or needing to get that proposal out, or all the things. And I didn't get a break from my brain constantly working. And I'm like right on the edge of, oh, if I don't rein this in now, I'm going to not be good in about 10 days' time.
Mm.
And again, it's the squeeze, right? How much can I squeeze into a day? But why do we do that?
Is that a rhetorical question that you're about to answer?
Well, I could make it a rhetorical question.
So, okay, that was a genuine question. Why do we do that?
Yeah, like I'd be curious to know your thoughts on why we seem to keep squeezing in things that we decide are important, but I'm not convinced that everything's always needed for that day.
Yeah, like the self-imposed to-do list, right? I mean, what's going to happen if things 5 through 10 don't happen today? They're still on the list. Like, if they got done tomorrow, is it really, is the world gonna stop?
Yeah, so I have something that moved from yesterday to today, and it was preempting that this proposal that I put in is actually going to be accepted. And then I wanted to have all my little ducks in a row and what it is I'd require. Mind you, this proposal had 3 options, so I don't actually know which option they're choosing. So I'm going to be creating something based on all 3 options. So essentially, I'm putting all energy into 3 different things and would only use one if they accept my proposal. And I've gone, Chris, stop. Don't pre-prepare this. Yes, it's in my calendar, but it's for when I next speak to that person, rather than doing it today when they haven't got back to me yet. I only submitted it yesterday. But I do self-impose my own deadlines. Oh, well, I'll just get that done, so that's ready to go, so that when they say yes or no, I've just got it ready to go. Oh, look, here's something I prepared earlier. But it would take, today, I have to make sure that I be a little bit kinder when it comes to my time.
I think it's interesting that you go there. It's like that over preparedness.
I'm a sucker for it.
And I mean, obviously, there's, no matter what side you take of being over prepared or under prepared, like there's always an opportunity to look at it from, what does this open up for me and what does it close down, right? Like, by being over prepared, I've got 3 options that they can choose from. I can go with the drop of a hat. Like, I'm going to show that I'm whatever. Like, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, all this proving. Yeah.
It shows potentially as far as how good Chris is, but they already have asked you to do this. So they already trust you and like you and watch you anyways. So it's funny, because if I was the client and I approached you for something like that, I don't think I would expect that you would have everything laid out for me the day after we talked.
Correct.
No, it's going to take a bit of time to lay out if you're going to prepare it, right?
If I'm going to do it well and I'm going to match what it is they actually want. Yeah, exactly.
So I wouldn't even expect you to jump and then throw everything in my lap the next day.
So I come back to the question, why do we try to squeeze so much in shorter periods of time? Like, it's
But
like, well,
I think this is just a self-defense mechanism based on something that happened to you when you were younger.
probably, I think yes, I would tend to agree. It's like a protection. It's okay, this will make me feel safer.
I've looked dumb in the past. I was not ready all of the time. And either I lost the job or I lost the opportunity or I just felt foolish. So I'm going to do everything in my power for that to not be the case ever again. But in doing so, then we overload ourselves unnecessarily, and then we pay the price for it.
And we lose our empowerment, right? So interesting, isn't it? We have this motivation to, I want to be do everything in my power to be in control, and yet when it is all too much, we lose our capacity to show up as the best version of ourselves.
So you asked the question, why do we do this? So I think there's my reason why it happens, but I think there's value in the over planning in this sense. When you realize you have, like, let's say we're having this conversation right now, it opens up your eyes to the contrast that you're experiencing. I am overloading myself. I can choose to do something different about it tomorrow. You don't have to continue to create plan 3, 4, and 5 for the same project. You can wait until your next meeting to know what you actually have to design, right? You can let that go, and then that leaves more space for you to do something else. So it's just an opportunity for you to become more aware of how you show up so that you can make some shifts in how you're approaching things.
Which comes back to what you were saying, which is getting more creative with what you're choosing to do. And I think we can only get more creative when we go into deliberate choice instead of the default. So my default is to tend to overplan. But when I can go, hang on, will that actually serve me? Will that serve the greater thing? Is that really necessary? That's when I can become a little more creative about how I use my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to know how you might be more creative because what you're talking about, like, so mine is all self-generated pretty much. When I lose
Isn't
out
it
on
all
self-time.
self-generated?
But what you described, you've got a few other people kind of shortening your space or making your space a little tighter. So with soccer games, and no doubt that's a game, and training and other such things, because it's never just a 1 day a week thing when you get into those sorts of stuff.
Luckily right now it is. They just put it all on the same night.
Oh, okay. So you've got these other obligations that start impinging on the space that you previously had. So then what can you do creatively to essentially create more space, so that the space that's now being taken up, or the time that's being taken up, you create elsewhere?
So one of the things that I said that I wanted to do the last time we chatted was to take more time to meditate. And I noticed that things like that weren't happening. Today I took that time and I got it. So after that, I actually wrote for about a half an hour, and 3 things came out of that as possibilities on how I could see my time differently or be more creative. So I had perspective, I had be more creative, and I had being more intentional. So the perspective was, even though some of these things have been maybe placed on me that I need to take care of, how am I looking at this time spent with these people or doing these things? Do I have to look at it as a time suck and how it's taking away from me and what I want to do? Maybe there's some other way that I can be in that space that is serving me and others, that just be from changing my point of view of how I'm seeing that time. So that it's not necessarily being taken from me.
And when we change that perspective, we bring a different energy to the circumstance.
Right. So, and I'm not complaining necessarily about the soccer, but when I started thinking of that particular instance from an alternate perspective, it was like, okay, well, I get to interact with a bunch of different people I haven't seen in a long time or haven't met before. So like there's opportunity to socialize and to like not just, oh, there's 2 hours of my night and now I'm not going to be ready for tomorrow. And that like just that mental mind shift was supportive. Being more creative. I think a lot of times people think that it has to take a long time for the me time. Like, oh, meditation, that's going to be half an hour. And oh, I got to do my writing. That's another half an hour. I don't have an hour in my day to do all this stuff, but maybe it doesn't have to be.
No, and in fact, I did that this morning. I started my day 15 minutes earlier than I would normally, so that I could add in getting to the gym and then being, because I did not want to come onto this call going, oh my God, I've just walked in from the gym. I wanted to be a little bit, let my body do that come down that it does after going, oh my God, and all my muscles. Anyway, and so by just moving it by 15 minutes, I was able to actually schedule in all of that time and feel really at ease to show up. And so it doesn't take a full hour. You can just things like 10, 15 minutes and it's amazing what you can create.
I don't know if I mentioned this the other day, but just even driving in the car, like I have 3 days a week where I'm driving for an hour there and an hour and a half back. But on my morning drive specifically, I can be pretty chill and pretty calm, almost like a moving meditation. Just, noticing like my circulation and my breathing and making like turning off the radio and just noticing the nature and what am I seeing, and not have it be all filled and busy with news and radio and whatever. Being on the highway, like I take the scenic route. I don't take the highway through town. So I'm seeing eagles and deer and turkeys and like raccoons. Like I see stuff, right? And it's cool. And it's a different way to approach the time I have to spend driving to work. Like so part of it is that perspective switch, and view, and part of it is being creative with the time that I have doing other things. And then the last one that I thought about was being more intentional. So I do have a couple of days in my week that are pretty much mine. But even though I know meditation and working out and these things are on my to-do list, at some point I will get to them and I'll do them where I can. But actually taking the time to schedule in a block of time, a half an hour for this, a half an hour for that, an hour for that, whatever. And it's blocked out. There's no reason why I can't do that. It's when I don't have it locked in and being intentional about where they sit. I'll scroll, I'll surf, I'll do that. I'll do the laundry right now. I'll go it's going to take me 2 seconds. But it's just drawing your attention away for something that will get done at some point by somebody. It doesn't have to be me at this time, like you were mentioning earlier. It can happen later.
Yeah, we so because this week has been a little bit full for me, all my own doing, one of the routines that we have is that because we have solar power, the dishwasher doesn't go on until during the day, where previously, until we got solar last year, we would the dishwasher would go on overnight, and so it was ready and it would be unpacked in the morning while we were making coffee, and that was our routine. So now the routine has changed so that I will put it on during the day and I'll tend to then open it and empty it maybe late afternoon. And then because I'm very, very lucky, my husband does all the evening cooking. So when he comes home from work and does the evening meal, then the kitchen is just ready for him to use. Well, of course, this week I haven't had time I barely remembered to put the dishwasher on. And one day I completely forgot until 4:30 in the afternoon. And so we didn't have the dishes that we needed for the meal, but we just used something else. That was fine. We worked it out. And then the following morning, he just put it on before he even left for work. And it's like, it's about the give and take.
Mhm.
It wasn't, just because it automatically defaults to me simply because I'm around home and I can put the dishwasher on during the day because I'm at home and I can do that. It was when I wasn't holding tight to going, oh, but I have to do the dishwasher. It gave him the opportunity to just go, you know what, I'll do that for you. That's fine. It's not even for me. It's just getting the dishwasher on.
The give
And
and
took
take
it out of
between
my
the
space.
give and take between you and your husband is great. I think it's also there's an opportunity for give and take between you and you between
Of
days,
what I
right?
feel responsible for, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost using yourself as a to trade. I'm going to trade you this for that tomorrow. How what do you think about that?
That's right. And that's like this, not preparing this design for this proposal until I actually get the go ahead, because I know what's going to be involved in it. I've already given them proposal. That's basically the design. I just, want to make sure I incorporate it into my calendar so that I got dates blocked out and times blocked out. But I can't do any of that until I know the dates, right?
Exactly.
So I've just put it off until the next conversation. So yes, so today now that's already moved off my calendar, which means the afternoon has opened up for an hour. And I might just get to read a book. Or another phone call might come in that I need to take and help someone with. Or I don't know. If I just let go of the planning constantly, it makes room for something new, something that I don't expect. And
Yeah,
that can be the gift.
yeah. I'm hoping this is resonating with people who listen to this, because I know there's a lot of givers out there who put themselves last and don't take the time for themselves like they need to. There's an expression that I've stolen from a colleague of mine, and it's being properly selfish. So basically taking care of yourself, knowing when you need to do something for you and doing it, and doing it on a regular enough basis that you don't feel like you're out of bounds and that you've been giving, and oh, when do I get some time for me? You're going to have to give it to yourself.
And it can be easy to forget that we're continually giving. That's a tricky one. I experienced this a bit, where I forget how much giving I'm doing, because it's something I naturally do and I find it easy most of the time. And I forget what toll it can take on me. And so I have to deliberately build in me time, like you suggested, so that I don't, so that I can kind of get away with not being fully aware that I'm overgiving. And then I'm automatically, like occasionally, like this week, I get a reminder that I might have said yes to a few too many things in a row. And I need to find a way to say no, or not yet is another phrase I like to say. Or what if I do it here and move it out a little bit?
Now, are you negotiating with yourself on this, or are you negotiating with others when you say this?
Well, there's a bit of both, right? And I think initially it has to be a negotiation with myself, And then it's the way that I, it's also, and it's the giver in me, want to make sure that when I go, okay, no, I need to make this boundary, that I present it in a way that makes sense for other people. Mm-hmm. Rather than coming back to your properly selfish. Do it so that it's from a space that is about the right care factor for me, that also comes with an energy of right care factor for that person. Mm. So yeah, this is something that needs to, like, I have to be on it every day, and I'm human and I forget.
Well, that's what I mean. I think this is all about awareness. You can't make the changes that you can't see. So getting reminders, and if you're getting them all the time, things are out of balance.
You might want to pay attention. Yeah.
You might want to pay attention to your burnout clock or whatever. What I thought was interesting, you said, if I keep going like this in 10 days, it's like, your bank account, your energy bank account so well, you've already pre-calculated, if I do too much, I'm going to burn out in so much time.
Me pre-prepared? Oh, my goodness. Yes, I do.
You have a countdown clock for burnout. 10 days.
I kind of do. And so, I don't want to go there. So then that's where pre-planning can be good. So then I pre-plan some space. And I did notice in my head this morning, I was like, and it usually happens at the gym because I've got all the good endorphins running. I go, on Saturday, I could be really productive and I could do this and this and this, and then I could make sure that this happened in between. I'm like, oh my God, Chris, stop. Yep, the pre-planner at work again.
But pre-planning your breaks. So again, your planning has an element of how it opens up things for you. Like it does benefit you. It's just, how do I rein that in when it's getting too much?
Yeah. And I think I really like your three that you that perspective. What was it? Perspective, creative, intention. Creative and intention. Yeah. And I think that the that deliberateness of seeing things differently, doing things differently, and then making the actual action happen. They're the three. Totally.
And when this happened for me this morning, when I was writing this out, the concept and the idea of it, the shift of perspective opened up those other things to be a possibility. So it was the instigator to be more creative and to be more intentional about how I want to spend my time, really. So,
well, that's going to be a statement I'm going to take with me for the next, let's say, 2 weeks. Let's see how I go.
Before I get my next text tomorrow morning, what are we doing this week?
Awesome.
It is.
Well, thanks for coming up with this one and highlighting some of this, Ian.
We run in similar circles. I'm sure we're running in we have similar challenges. So
yeah, I don't think we're alone in this at all.